You ever wonder how difficult it must be for an actor to memorize lines from a play or a movie or anything like that? I am so bad at all that. I just can't imagine how it is. And at SCAN, we're always concerned about, keeping our brains sharp. That's really what we are all about. Recently, some of our students were in a play. It was called Senior Moments, and they had to memorize a lot of lines. And you know what? Today we have one of the actresses who was in the play, and she's going to tell us all about that experience. So stay tuned. Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to SCAN FYI. Yes, we are talking about memorizing today, which is, not so easy, especially as you get older, but there's many tricks to it. So my guest today is Cheryl Gaudette. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi.
Cheryl is one of our SCAN members, and Cheryl has really, first of all, did something very much out of her comfort zone. She was in a play. She had to memorize a lot of lines, and let me just say she was brilliant at it. And I want to know how she did it, and I'm sure you do too. So Cheryl, first of all, thank you for being with me.
You're welcome.
And why don't you just tell everyone a little bit about you? You're a SCAN member, and how did this all come to be?
Okay. I've been taking David Meehan's improv class for the last 3 years at least, maybe a little longer, which to me is like an hour and a half of laughing. It's just wonderful. It's just wonderful. And basically, at the end, we've always done little skits and things, but we had our papers to use. So that was easy to read. Then he asked me, he writes plays, it's so talented. And he asked me if I would be in one of these plays, which was a comedy, which I just thought was great. And I played a Jewish mother, a Jewish, that was easy.
Not a big stretch, right?
Not a big stretch. And it was basically took place at a senior living over 55 HOA kind of program. And it was one skit was funnier than the next. So I was on really the whole hour and a half, and we had three shows that were totally sold out, and people laughed. They just laughed the whole time because everything was so completely relatable. Everything was relatable to what everybody feels, and so everybody was hysterical laughing, and I loved it. I loved it. So the memorization, yes, I think by the timing was the week after we started, I had a knee replacement. So, I had a couple of rehearsals on Zoom, and then I did get back to his house for rehearsal. And I gave my daughter a copy of the script, and she would call me each day, and we would take a section, and I would just go back and forth with her. I remember at one point saying, what was I thinking? My knee hurt. How could I do this? What am I thinking? I can't memorize, but I did it. I actually did it over and over and over and over again with a lot of repetition. And then, of course, we had to do it not just in front of us, but in front of, going over to the stage and practicing. A lot of mistakes. We all forgot things, nothing was perfect. But it came out terrific. And I have to say that I actually, by the time we had a show, I didn't forget any of my lines, which was amazing to me because I've never done this. I always liked theater. I worked backstage in college, but I never memorized a script before. This is my very first time. And most of
so
the
as someone who was sitting in the audience enjoying the play, and it was brilliantly funny because we're all seniors and we totally relate to everything,
Totally.
which made it a little scary but crazy funny. But I will tell you that the audience, where everyone is chit-chatting, you guys, all of you, it was seamless. If anybody made any mistakes, it was not the least bit apparent to anyone in the audience. And that's the thing. Well, first I want to ask you two things, really. First, you've never done this before. You've never been in a play before an audience, and being in the improv class, it's a small contained group, you know each other. So how did you get yourself out of that comfort zone and put yourself out in front of the world like that? What did you do?
It's a funny thing, but I think I kind of have wanted to do something like this. I love comedy. Um, I think being in the improv class and then doing the shows at the end of each group of classes that is for the public, or at least friends, even though it was reading, was practice. And I I was thrilled that he asked me. I mean, I have to say that part of it was like, oh, he asked me to be in this. He thinks I could do this. Ooh, how could I say no? And then I said my ego got ahead of my common sense. I remember saying at one point,
As it often does with all of us. Yeah.
And
yeah.
so at first I was like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? Because I had no idea how much it was going to be. But you know what? It was such a high afterwards for months, because I felt like I did it. And I have to add, my mother had Alzheimer's for many years. It's always been a big fear of mine. I had a couple of other risk factors leading to that over the years, a head injury, stuff like that. So it's always been a risk, a fear. So that to do this was a big challenge for me to get past that. I mean, as soon as my hair turned to, not coloring, that was my mother when she had Alzheimer's, anyway. So I had to get past some of these things. And I
Yeah.
think that this really, really did it for me. It was, my mind is still there, even though I still forget everything when I come in a room and don't know what I'm there for, but there was still the fact that I did memorize it, told me my brain was still intact.
Right. Right. And
Yeah.
you know what I want to say for everyone out there who's watching and listening to Cheryl and I have a conversation here. The thing is that we hear a lot of people, oh, I can't, oh, I could never do that. I can't do that. What? Oh, I'm too old. I'm too well, if you get out of your own head, people,
Right.
look what you can do
Absolutely.
if you put your mind to it.
Absolutely. And I was lucky, as I said, my daughter did a tremendous, every day we would go over things. And then I'd sit and read it, and I'd practice walking around the house. And it became then a big, big challenge. And besides which, I didn't want to be embarrassed up there. So and my friends were coming, the whole sisterhood, everything. So I just wanted to make sure, that I did well. And it was a tremendously positive thing. It was truly out of my comfort zone. Now, if he asks me, I have no trouble. I would say yes, because I know I can do it. I know I will do it.
And I think that's what, whether it's memorizing lines for a play or doing something else, once you realize, oh, look what I did, I feel like it propels you to the next level, right?
Yes.
Now, the next time you won't hesitate because I can do this.
I can do it. And there was a real thrill to hear everybody laughing. I mean, really laughing. My lines were he's a riot. He's so good at writing, David. And my lines some of them were so hysterical.
They were.
They really were funny. And everybody's laughing. And that made me feel like, really feel good to watch all these people laughing. We don't always get to do that stuff,
So
laughing.
when you're on the stage and you're in the moment because you're in the play and the audience, we're observing you really.
Yeah.
And so are you hearing the people laughing? Are you focused? How do you maintain, see, that's another thing. How do you maintain your focus on I'm in the play, but I want to hear the audience react to me?
Yeah, that's a good question, because David worked with us a tremendous amount on that. And he said, don't focus on any faces. Don't look at any individuals. Don't make eye contact, because then you lose being on this side of a play. You start become the fourth wall thing and all that.
That's right.
So
that's right.
I would just sort of look up, look out, in a very general way, and really not make eye contact, but try to look, stay forward and kind of embrace, but I could hear the laughing, very much so. And every so often your eyes, not necessarily meeting anyone's eyes, but you just see people are really hysterical. And the stage was close to us. It's not a huge, it's a kind of a round stage, a half round. So, and I just knew, after a while, we didn't laugh at our own things because we rehearsed it so much. So, but seeing other people, and he talked to us, let the laughter come. Wait before you go to your next line. Make sure everybody's finished laughing to some extent. He really is an excellent director. So we, so that's how it was. I mean, I took all that direction because it's like my first time in that sense and having that direction. And I just, I did just hear the laughing around it and clapping and, a few people going woo woo. So the biggest challenge was getting on the stage and not falling or something, because there was stuff all over there. That was my biggest worry, was in the dark, that I would have to watch where I put my feet, So once I got past that and practicing a few times, I felt better. But that was probably my biggest. I wasn't walking that fast yet, so I was trying to make sure I was balancing all of that with my new knee.
You were post knee surgery. Yeah.
Surgery, like a couple of months. And so that was another thing, watching that. And a lot of encouragement from the other actresses, people that were in it.
You're all in it together. Every, I feel like people maybe don't realize that everyone, we're all in this together. It's not like you were doing a solo performance. You have other
Right.
people there to help you, and you're working off, you're all sharing this experience.
Exactly. We want to listen to the other person's lines, make sure we're not just focusing on what we're saying next. So much learning I did. And actually, I have to say some of it was applicable to real life. Like, somebody's talking, listen to them and not think about what you're saying next yet. So it's very real life kinds of stuff. You don't have to memorize in your mind. You have to get the cue and then respond appropriately with your line, but hearing theirs first. And so that was excellent. And I have to say, one person who was in it was significantly older at the end, the person who was in the end, and she did a beautiful job. And so that wasn't her first experience, but still she didn't, she was never too old for anything. She was actually driving to rehearsal better than me. So so that was great. But that was it. I think it was a wonderful experience. And I truly was on like I did it. Oh, I did. Another thing I used to do, little engine that could, I would say, I know I can.
Yeah.
Before each rehearsal, before each show, I had this whole self-talk thing. I know I can, like the little engine that could. And so I would do that for myself all the time. I had to, this will be fine. I can do it. And so I think that all helped. You have to have that positive attitude if you're going to go out of your comfort zone, because if you don't have the positive attitude, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right, So
so true.
Yeah. So I think it was a terrific experience, and I'm hoping, that we have another one that will come up. And as I said, I didn't have to play somebody different for me, but I did have to, which was good. But I did have to memorize, and we had to know, how to walk on, how to hold ourselves, how to engage everybody. So much, it was.
I think that, well, of course, when you're acting in any kind of a situation, it's not just reading the lines. You're listening to the audience. You're listening to the other actors. You're watching where you walk. There's so much happening. Oh my God, there's so much going on that you have to be fully present. How did you prevent your mind from wandering? How did you stay so in the moment?
That's a good question. And sometimes he'd actually say, wait a minute, you're not listening. You're not kind of coming up to where what's being said. You're looking this way, so then I started making sure I was focusing in the moment. Some of the scenes I had, one which was a singing sort of scene of blowing in the wind in a sort of singing way, I just really felt like, oh, I could really be doing this, in real life, and some of it was so real that I did, this particular show, that it wasn't hard. I'm thinking how to keep in the moment. You just really need it. I mean, I needed to listen to what was going on. And of course, there was a lot of scenes, and I had trouble remember which one came first, which one came second. Somebody wrote something up ahead of time, and I was always saying, what's the next scene? When's the next? And I had to remember, the big thing was how to remember when I went off, which side I went off to, so I didn't end up on the wrong side, how to not go in front of people. And that was hard. It was hard because I did a lot of the wrong stuff in the beginning. And, or if I'd forget something, I'd say, oh my God, I forgot. And he said, you can't say that, you have to, just go over it. And again, I learned, and I practiced a lot so that I wouldn't have any problem with the rote thing. I could probably, say the stuff now because it's still there,
Right,
Um,
right.
but so I think, yes, you have to be in the moment, you have to focus, which is great. And you have to not have too much self-consciousness and thinking that you're the center of the earth and everybody's looking at everything you're doing at every second. What should I wear? How should I move my feet? But will they notice my sneakers? That sort of thing. I just, got approval for what's okay, and I had to kind of get out of myself and just let it out. And I think those improv classes really, really helped.
I'm sure I think that's why for a lot of people, improv is a
So
great
much fun.
opportunity. And Cheryl, I mean, I commend you on this because I mean, you did something that for so many seniors, they were just like, no, no, no. And good for you because not only did you do it, you did it really well. And you just proved the point that if you believe you can do it,
That's right.
you can do it. Self-confidence, right? Now you're ready for the next one.
Yes. Yeah. Now I know I could do it. I mean, there's other things like physical stuff. I'm not that of the greatest balance. I don't challenge myself with things that I could possibly get hurt on, that sort of thing. I don't
Oh, well,
get
good
into
advice
great,
on that one.
yeah. So this is a whole different situation. And I think I'm going to continue to stay in his class. And I think the next thing is he's doing a singing kind of thing. And I can't really keep a tune, but I love to sing. So I think it will be really kind of fun because, again, I have to say, I don't care what anybody thinks about my voice. I'm just going to enjoy myself. And I think that's another thing. I think just having fun, laughing, because it's hard. Sometimes things happen as we get older. It's harder to, always be laughing. But like the improv, as I said, the improv class is an hour and a half of just laughing at ourselves, and we formed a bond. We have a group there, new people come and go, but we have a core group. And I think, that's been a very positive thing that we're all just used to each other and get together in the food court afterwards and stuff like that, so it's very nice. And everybody came from the class to see.
Yeah.
It was, there were two people from the class, one who had taken the class before and then me. So it was terrific. It was terrific. So
So Cheryl, what do you want to say to people who are on the fence about, I want to do something. I mean, why don't we get out of our comfort zone? Well, we're
Right.
afraid of failure, that fear
Yes.
of failure.
An embarrassment.
And obviously, if you overcome that, you wind up like Cheryl, having a wonderful experience. So what do you want to say to someone who's a little bit on the fence? I'd like to do it. I'm afraid to do it. I'm really stuck.
Well, I'd say read The Little Engine That Could. You're probably reading to grandkids at this point. And probably teaching to your kids that same concept, and grandkids, that same thing. You can do it. You
That's
can do it.
true. That's
We're
true.
always saying
Yeah.
it, so we have to say it to ourselves. I think that start small. If you don't have to go for the whole big thing, start on something small, like a class, that makes you get out of the comfort zone, or writing, or a language, or anything, or acting, anything that's something that you feel unsure about, and recognize that everybody there is going to feel just as unsure. And that it's new for many things are new for everybody. I would say to realize life is short. If you don't do it now, when are you going to do it? Because it's not going to get easier 10 years. So
No.
you might as well do
No.
it now while you still can. It's very funny. I've always wanted to be in a Neil Simon play. And one of the little skits we have now for the next show that's going to be Friday, I'm just in a scene from a Neil Simon, like The Odd Couple, only two women. I had so much fun. So, it's just, and I'm reading it. So I don't have to, memorize it. But I think just if there's something you thought you might want to do someday, do it. Because what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? And, it's like,
Right.
I kind of think it's like dancing. I was always so self-conscious about dancing. I never think I could dance. And then one time I decided, I like dancing. And then, dancing, social dancing. And really nobody's looking at me after all. They really don't care, especially at a certain age. Nobody's looking at you. Nobody's saying, oh my God, whatever.
You're right. We have to get over thinking
You
we're
have
the
to get
center of
over it and
attention.
have a good time and just enjoy yourself. and feel like really the rest of the world really doesn't care that much exactly what matches or if you're that coordinated or anything else. Just do what makes you that gives you a positive feeling and that makes life good. And that's kind of it.
Well, that's everything. You know, here's the thing. Do you want to participate in life or do you want to be an observer?
That's right.
And if you
That's
want to
right.
participate, sometimes you got to move, you got to make a move, you got to get out of that comfort zone. Cheryl did that. Look at her. Look what happened in the most positive way. And you know what? That's everything that SCAN really stands for. We talk about keeping seniors active, healthy, and connected. And we're about brain health. We're about transforming your life, but it's up to you. It's up to you. April 25th is our annual brain health fair at Monmouth Mall. And, you know, for me, what you did, Cheryl, it is the ultimate of brain health. You pushed yourself in ways that you didn't even know you could do it. And
Yeah.
I mean, bravo for you. Good for you. Be like Cheryl, everybody. Be like Cheryl. Well, Cheryl, thank you so much for sharing your experience today. I really appreciate it. And I know everyone listening does as well.
Thank you. It was fun. And I think SCAN is wonderful. I wish I
Thank you
could do
for that
everything.
as well. So remember out there, if it's important to you, it's important to us. I'm Andrea Tarr. We'll see you next time on SCAN FYI. Bye, everyone, and bye, Cheryl.
Bye-bye.